the Trump organization was found guilty. But is that a good thing or a bad thing? Drums, why would it be a bad thing? Well, let's talk about it. It's a good thing you stumbled onto the conversation. Joseph Tully is a criminal defense attorney. He's going to join us to discuss it. Joseph of the House Tully, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, Joseph, I'll lay out my theory first, and then I'm curious about your reaction. I think that this basically helps Trump with his cover-up because it finds his organization guilty. So what? It's a tiny little fine. Wesselberg didn't flip on him, and Alvin Bragg didn't prosecute him at all. So, what am I getting wrong here?
You're not getting anything wrong there in that analysis. However, there's a pending civil action in New York and a pending criminal action with the district attorney. So these convictions could snowball and could help the other cases against him. But really, yeah, this isn't too bad either way. It's obviously not good for the Trump organization, but as you point out, it's only a fine, but it's not some kind of smoking gun.
Yeah, so I want to get back to why they charged the least severe crime in a little bit, okay? But staying on this issue, so what they got convicted of is cheating on their taxes, basically, but not on the big scale of what his father did with his hundreds of millions of dollars, et cetera. Not the things that Michael Cohen talked about in the Senate hearings. I'm going to come back to that too. But of the nickel and dime stuff, hey, the company bought Alan Wesselberg an apartment or a car, et cetera, and they didn't pay their taxes on it. So why do you think they went for the lowest charge possible?
Well, prosecutors can sometimes overcharge, but sometimes they undercharge. Here, I don't think they wanted to fall flat on their face. I think they knew this would be a very public prosecution, a very public case. And rather than overcharge, they went conservative and went for what they knew they could get.
Yeah, and so Joseph, I'm not seeing it wrong, right? That I sense, look, is Alvin Bragg in cahoots with Donald Trump? No, I would be shocked by that. Well, maybe shock's a little too strong, but I would be very surprised, okay? So he's a Democrat, there's no reason why he would support Trump ostensibly. Is he a little bit interested in protecting the elite? Most people in the elites are, right? Okay, but I think that's not primarily it. I think primarily prosecutors are obsessed with their record because that's their pride in their career. And they were super worried about losing any cases. My sense is that that's the #1 reason they haven't really gone after Trump yet.
Sure, they don't want to swing and a miss. And again, your analysis is correct in one point that I don't think a lot of people would realize is that this could possibly help Trump. Again, they're good and bad either way. But in some degree, when Wesselberg testified, look, this was all me. It was all by my greed. Sure, the company benefited, but I hid it. Then Trump called an accountant. And while the accountant certainly was more for the prosecution, Trump could later use that same testimony as a defense in a criminal action. Look, the accountant testified under oath that he didn't know what was going on. Fraud is designed to be hid. So if the accountant didn't discover it, how could I have discovered it? That's what I think was handed to Trump as a result of this proceeding.
So Wesselberg got a plea deal for turning on the Trump organization, but not on Trump himself. And he largely went on the stand and was like, it was me, I did it, right? And the organization a little bit, but Donald Trump definitely not. And he's still getting paid about $1 million per year from Trump, right? So isn't that excellent evidence that he definitely didn't turn on Trump, because Trump ain't gonna pay you $1, let alone $1 million if you turn evidence against him?
It's certainly a strong implication. So yeah, he's on paid leave. So, and he's been on paid leave, even though he was convicted of 15 felony counts of fraud. So Wesselberg was already convicted, but is still getting paid by the organization and paid up through testimony. It certainly is a bad look and could be construed by some as, a wink and a nod favoritism.
Yeah, no, this is totally a cover-up, whether it's intentional or not, because Weisselberg has always been the key actor here. He's the CFO, he's the one that runs the books. He knows where all the bodies are buried financially, right? And for the prosecutor to get him 5 months for a weak testimony against Trump organization and letting him testify that it wasn't Trump, I mean, that's just god-awful. I mean, I'm curious what I know you can't speak for the whole criminal attorney field, right? But does the legal community, this looks like to the rest of us, it looks like a joke, like that Alvin Bragg is mainly helping Trump. Are other people seeing it that way, or are some people in the legal community like, man, you better not mess with Alvin Bragg, he'll get you on knick-knack stuff?
Well, so Alvin Bragg, again, he's the district attorney. He's been very public about that a criminal investigation against Trump personally is ongoing. So on one hand, this certainly wasn't a win for the prosecution or people who oppose Trump or don't like him for whatever reason, but it certainly can be built up in the criminal investigation. And we don't know what's going on right now. But to get back to your other point, and I can speak for basically the whole criminal justice system, when they use cooperators, and the common vernacular for that is snitch, a lot of times prosecutors get it wrong. So if there's a group of people, sometimes they'll take the worst person and give them an agreement to testify, and you can never trust a cooperator, generally speaking.
Yeah, look, that Weisselberg's not an actual snitch because he didn't get stitches. If he had actually snitched on Donald Trump, Trump would have ripped him to shreds, right? And he would have done every kind of attack. Instead, he's paid him $1 million a year. No, Alvin Bragg is a joke, total joke. So he says he's doing a criminal case. Criminal case on what? Is he gonna pursue this? Weisselberg, the guy that he gave a plea deal to, said it wasn't Trump. So what, does anybody have any idea what this so-called criminal case Alvin Bragg is working on?
No one would have any idea because a criminal investigation by its very nature isn't public yet. The prosecutors don't want to let out information because they don't want the other side to start preparing a defense or to start insulating themselves from a defense. But I wouldn't write off a criminal action later in the future. And I certainly wouldn't write off the fact that this civil action against the Trump organizations can't be used or can't snowball into something. Worst case scenario for the Trump organization or for Donald Trump is that it would be a scenario of like a death by 1,000 paper cuts. There's this civil case where there are 6 felony convictions, then another criminal case gets opened up, and then the state attorney general is instituting a suit. It could just kind of piggyback on the other investigations going on.
Can it? Because there's levels of severity, right? I'm gonna leave out all the Justice Department stuff that's federal. So the documented national secrets that he stole and God knows what he did with, et cetera. I'm just talking about these New York and these financial crimes. And the least severe is the one that the organization just got prosecuted for and convicted. The most severe one potentially was money laundering that he might have done with the Russians. But it seems like that ship has sailed. Nobody's talking about it. It looks like Deutsche Bank has the records of whatever impropriety happened, but Alvin Bragg is nowhere to be seen on something like that. And that would be a little risky to try to prove. Bragg would never do that. So let's talk about the middle severity case. The one that Michael Cohen said on national TV, he said it on this show, he said it says it everywhere he goes. look, man, we cooked the books on a big scale. We would lie about how much value we had when we were going to get a loan in our assets. And then we would say the exact opposite when we were paying our taxes, that our assets were really low. Joseph, that's a pretty significant crime. That's not, hey, I bought the dude a Volkswagen, right? But now it looks like Bragg lost the guy who could prove that, Wesselberg, because he already gave him immunity. If he's cooking up that case, wouldn't this case actually hurt him rather than help him?
All right, so I think that he can continue, the DA can continue to use Wesselberg. And the fact that, he already has guilty pleas, I don't think that he's burned his bridges and using him as a witness. Anybody can be subpoenaed and can be compelled to be a witness at any time. And in fact, it might be that other crimes that are completely unrelated to these accusations can be brought up against Wesselberg in the future, and he could be flipped again. I mean, that's one scenario.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So
I agree with you.
Yeah. Look, Cy Vance did not prosecute Harvey Weinstein initially, okay? And now Alvin Bragg is not prosecuting Donald Trump. He says he might a decade from now on a mysterious charge that he's not building at all. So for the layman out there, Joseph, why do these prosecutors who are elected Democrats, why are they so soft on the powerful, even up to including the Republicans?
I mean, one viewpoint is that the prosecutors are part of the power structure. So there's one thing that powerful people do is they hang out with each other and they kind of support each other. People tend to be tribalistic, in whatever. Hey, I'm a Mets fan and you're a Mets fan. We could be friends. Let me buy you a beer, that kind of thing. And it's the same thing. Human nature is pretty basic. And prosecutors are part of the power structure. So, again, sometimes prosecutors do undercharge. Sometimes they overcharge. I'm sure it's a thankless job for a lot of times, and a lot of prosecutors are good and they try to do what's right. But you get to be in a position of power, and I think a lot of people change fundamentally.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That once you get in the club, job one is to protect the club, and if you're a prosecutor, the number one way to protect them is by not charging them. And we're seeing it kind of in slow motion right in front of us. It's an amazing thing to watch. All right, Joseph Tully, thank you for helping us sort this out. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.